Hey there, folks. This is Lenny Rudo from Fish Talk Magazine, and you're watching TV Free Baltimore.
This is Strider, Regional Director for the Guardian Angels here in Baltimore. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of Beyond the Streets. So we got a really good show for you today. I know we talk about the crime and the politics and all the issues that we're having in Baltimore City, but this is a show that I kind of sought this person out because it kind of goes with that whole mind, body, and spirit thing here. So I think you're going to like this show. So I want to also thank TV Free Baltimore again for always supporting the Guardian Angels and making this thing happen. So thank you, TV Free. So with that, got to introduce you to somebody. This is you're going to love this show. And I'm actually trying to figure out some kind of way to bring her to you guys even more and maybe connecting you in some kind of way, because we got to free your mind. We got to let that spirit flow. We got to embrace and help make that body healthier. So all that kind of stuff goes together. Mind, body, spirit. It's a big deal, guys. So today we have, listen to this, we have a 15-year veteran of the Baltimore City Police Department, okay? I don't care who you are or where you're from, you pretty much know that's probably one of the most dangerous jobs in the country. Okay, we're all Baltimore. Okay, we lead records for killing people. That's what we do. But it's a stressful job. So she's a 15-year veteran for the Baltimore City Police Department. Okay, if that's not cool enough. Okay, but she's also a yoga, mediation, mindfulness instructor, and that whole Zen thing is what kind of got me saying, yep, she's coming on this show. We got to have her. So I want to introduce you to Jasmine Green, also known as the Yoga Cop.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you. I love that introduction.
No, it's good. It's one of these things where I want these people to look at this and say, wow, because what it is, I think one of the things, and like I said, every time you and I have met in the past, and it's usually when something was going on, either police-oriented or community-oriented, so it was kind of, let's say there was a little bit of stress there. Mm-hmm. And even with the politics. But with that, you've always been in that zone. You've always been calm. You've always been relaxed. You've always been in the moment. You don't get overly excited, which is kind of crazy considering what you do for a career. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah. So, and I know we had talked before, and I'm like, well, how do you do this? Now, but you work with police officers and first responders with your meditation and your therapy, and you're just bringing them together as far as everything from meditation to yoga, also doing the hikes in the rain, in the cold. Yes. So it doesn't matter. Yes. So that kind of thing. And I remember, of course, I follow your stuff as well. And I say, where do you find time for all of this? How do you make this happen? And then you see all the police officers that I know inside your pictures, and I say, oh my God, there's such and such, and there's such and what are you doing, Mm-hmm. But it looks like it's a good time, and everybody's happy.
It is.
You don't see the bulletproof vests, and you don't see all this stuff on there, guys, but you see the smiles, you see nature, you see all this stuff going on around you, and you look happy. Yeah. How do you do this?
So, for me, health and wellness is paramount, because you're no good to anyone else if you're not any good to yourself. And so on this journey, this 15-year journey being a police officer, I've really learned to understand the importance of caring for myself and making sure that my cup is full, And so in doing that, my journey basically started with looking at me, and like I told you, we discussed this before, where I lost my little brother in a freakish accident type of way, And it was 2 months after the riots, and I needed to balance myself out because I just felt like, I was just going to somehow lose it. And that's what led me into yoga, mindfulness, and meditation. And it was a way for me to channel my energy into a more positive direction. Even prior to yoga, mindfulness, and meditation, though, I've always somehow, some way been able to interact with people in a positive manner. And it's because I've always led with love and understanding and compassion. And those are principles in yoga. So it's almost kind of like I naturally went into where I was supposed to be. And I've just, in that, I have opened myself up to helping other people, my colleagues who really need stress mitigation techniques in order to stay balanced. Our statistics are high. So I started studying us. I started studying our statistics. I started studying how, our leading cause of death, which is heart disease. But there are so many other things that happen with us: alcoholism, drug use, depression, suicide, that's now becoming very, very public, which is a good thing. And we have a high divorce rate. We can be very hard to deal with, with everything that we're taking in from on the streets and departmentally. It's just a lot. And I saw the need.
Well, let's talk about some of those, I guess, effects. We'll call them effects. And yeah, we talked about that before, and I'm glad you mentioned the suicide end of it. And like you said, it's something that's always been there, but a lot of times you didn't talk about it. Yeah. And now you think about it, it's coming out so much more. It's coming into the public, and it's almost like they want you to know this is a problem. This is something to take a look at, because it was kind of ghost in the closet. But like you said, there's so much stress in what it is that first responders and especially law enforcement has to do every single day, every time you answer a call. Mm-hmm. Nobody calls you and says, "Oh, this is great. You know what? My kid just got straight A's," or "I got a brand new car." It's always something bad. Mm-hmm. People, and granted, this is 2020. Mm-hmm. So, it's even harder for people to respond or even call the police right now. So when you call now, it's a big deal because everybody's trying to avoid that issue because of what's going on in our crazy times here. So when it comes to you studying law enforcement and the issues that happen there, what kind of made you look at this and say, holy smokes? I mean, now granted, you wanted to find out, so there was a reason behind it, but once you looked at it, where was your uh-oh moment or your holy shit? What was your moment for what surprised you the most when you actually took a look into it?
When I realized that our life expectancy is between 62 to 65 years old.
Is that still on the job or even after retirement or total?
That is on the job after retirement. That's the statistic. And so, I was like, wow, we age in dog years, and for me, I really adore my colleagues. Those are truly my brothers and sisters, truly. And when something happens to one of us, it affects all of us, even if we've never even crossed paths. It's sad, and to know that was one of our statistics, and then to see the other statistics, I was just like, holy smokes, what in the world? Like, why isn't this spoken about?
Why isn't it?
Why is this a secret, even to us? So I taught in 2018, I taught I taught mindfulness techniques, but I was also including stress mitigation and talking to officers about what our issues are and how those issues manifest when we're stressed, and I mean, I ran the gamut, and they had aha moments just like, oh my gosh, I act like that. Like, I isolate when I get home. You know, a lot of officers didn't know why they wanted to isolate from their families when they got home. They just want to be left alone. Just leave me alone. Just give me some time, you know. And who knows how much time they need. Sometimes they might need 15 minutes. Sometimes they might need more than that. And the reality is that the civilian population doesn't understand. So meaning your family, your spouse, you know, they don't understand. Sometimes your children don't understand when you're under stress and pressure, and not really able to identify how that is going to manifest in you. So when I was talking to them, they were having aha moments, but I also linked it to, you know, the fact that it takes our life away from us. It's you know, slowly chipping away at our health. And that's an issue. Mental, physical, emotional health, that's an issue.
Now, a lot of times, especially with men, okay, you know, they always have a reason or are able to justify some sort of behavior or something, or always ready to deny the fact that there's something wrong at all. And I'm that way also. You know, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good. You know, so how receptive was it when you started reaching out to your colleagues and saying, hey, here, we got to do this or do this? Because, you know, I'm just guessing, but I'm sure some of them came to you slowly, but at the same time, especially the guys, or even, you know, police officers are, you know, you're a figure of authority here. You know, you can't have bad days. You know, you can't be wrong or sick, or you've always got to be on point, you know. Gosh, so how was that when
with them? Oh, they're easy. They're easy. I love my guys. You know, I love my guys, and because I speak from a place of genuine love when it comes to them and their well-being. You know, I think it's all about the message. It's all about the delivery of the message. If I'm not judging, how can I judge? I'm a cop too. So when I speak, I say we, which includes me as well. This is what we're experiencing. This is what's taking our life and our happiness away from us. They were very receptive, extremely receptive, and would come to me like, hey, Jazz, you know, you know, can you help me? I've had commanders that I've worked with and done one-on-ones with that came to me like, I need a yoga session. Like, I'm stressed, you know. So it just, they will come when they know that you actually care. And that's the biggest thing about police officers. The biggest thing about police officers is, especially in Baltimore City, my people, right? One thing that I've learned working with them for so long and being a police officer myself is that the minute that we feel like nobody really cares about us, we check out, period. It's just that simple. We turn our ears off. We don't want to hear it. If we feel like there is some other motive attached, we check out. But so me knowing that, I knew that they would be receptive. I knew they would be receptive because I don't have any motives. The only motive is I want us to live. I want us to live past retirement. I don't want someone to give their, you know, to serve for 20 plus years and then they turn around and are no good to the people that supported them throughout that entire journey, their family. That's
now,
not
statistically,
okay.
Now I've known, and like I said, my martial art instructors were all law enforcement agents. So, I mean, and that was from me growing up. So when those guys, a lot of them are retired now. But the funny thing about it, you know, luckily for me, the guys that I trained with and who trained me are still alive. Okay? But it's crazy. It is, because when a lot of cops retire, they don't know what else to do with themselves, and they end up going home, being home for a while, then dying of a heart attack, not on the street anymore. So they don't have that decompression time or somebody to help transition them and to say, hey, you're not on high alert anymore. You can relax. You can sleep at night now, you know. But I think, and I've known quite a few, more than I care to name. It's a lot of them, and they, you know, like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? They just retired, you know, and they
they're
go
gone just like that.
you know. But now, the colleagues that you've worked with, that you've done sessions with, how immediate was it that you were done with them and they were like, ah, this is so great? You know, could you see the difference?
First session. That's always the response, like, wow. You know, when I had a mindfulness session with an officer who was going through a lot, and this wasn't a commander, this was an officer, and this particular person was going through a lot and asked me to have a mindfulness session, which I do for free.
So what is a mindfulness session?
A mindfulness session is when we go through a mindfulness practice. It's when we go through a mindfulness practice, and it is all about detaching oneself from the past, from the future, and bringing yourself into the present moment where you are safe. And a lot of officers are so in the past and in the future and worrying, and it's just worry, what's next, that even in their present moment, they don't feel safe. You know, you still feel, and a lot of officers, we're the highest population, and this is statistically, of PTSD sufferers that haven't been diagnosed.
And why is that?
Because we're likely probably not going to go sit in front of a therapist to talk about it and to get diagnosed, you know, because we're around each other. So we've normalized how we perceive the world around us because we're talking to each other constantly. So we're sharing these stories. So for us, it's normal. You know, it's not outside of the norm, but at the same time, I had to remember when I wasn't a police officer and how I felt and how safe I felt when I was a civilian. And then that let me know that I'm in a different space, you know? And so they always feel, because I can connect with them like that and I know what the issues are. When we have mindfulness sessions, I'm able to bring them into a space of peace because I understand how to get them there. And I've always seen the relief right away. And even a meditation session, not meditation, I'm sorry, a yoga session. I haven't had a real meditation session yet with an officer. I've had mindfulness sessions, but meditation takes a minute. You know, you got to go deep, you know, take some time. But mindfulness, yes. Yoga, yes. And Reiki as well.
Now, what is that?
So Reiki is energy healing, and it's an old, ancient Japanese practice of energy healing, and it's just moving energy throughout the body and moving it from the stagnant places out of the body so the body can take on new, fresh energy. It's almost kind of like
Tai Chi.
It's like Tai Chi, yeah. And I also, for people that don't understand Tai Chi or Reiki or anything like that, the easiest modality for me to connect it to would be something like acupuncture, right? And so we have what's called chakras, and we have 7 primary chakras that run up and down the spine from the tailbone to the crown. But then we have all these little bitty chakras all over our bodies, and they hold energy. And so anytime you get tension in one of your areas, I keep touching the mic, so excuse me for that. But anytime you get tension build up, what an acupuncturist will do is they'll pierce the chakra. And they know exactly where to put the needle. They pierce it, and it's like popping a balloon, and it releases the energy.
How do people contact you if they're interested in having a session with you, or even joining you on your hikes? How do you get the word out, or how do they reach out to you?
Okay, so the hikes right now, the way that I've set the hikes up is because I want to create safe spaces for us. So the hikes are for police officers, their families, and their friends. I've been getting so many requests from the public about hiking that I'll probably, this hiking season 2020, which will be our 3rd year, I'll probably open hiking up to the public, but I have to figure out how that's going to look. And as far as following me, you can follow me on I'm sorry, I'm from Indiana, I'm a little country, _yoga cop on Instagram, and I am Jasmine Green Goddess on Facebook. So Instagram, _yoga cop. And I'm more active on Instagram than I am on Facebook. So, yeah.
So we're going to figure out what we got to do.
I forgot to answer the other question.
Oh, go ahead.
My apologies. And if you would like to contact me, you can contact me there. People inbox me all the time. So, yeah, you can get in touch with me on Instagram.
Well, one of the things we're going to try to do is we're going to try to put together a session here with the yoga cop for the Guardian Angels, and maybe even the hike. You know,
Oh, that would be fun.
And the good thing
Oh, my
about it is I'm
goodness.
always looking for a way to do team building with the Angels, you know, because
yeah.
this is a whole new 2020. So if you're Guardian Angels and you're watching this, it's time to get on the stick, because 2020, we got work to do, y'all. We'll talk later.
Absolutely.
But you know, I think that also, you know, maybe, you know, as you know, we do community walks and all that kind of stuff. So maybe we'll do a public safety hike somewhere and bring in maybe some of the cops and Jasmine and the Guardian Angels out and invite the community, because the healing is for everybody.
Yeah.
But granted, you know, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing for the law enforcement officers, because I don't care what anybody says, you cannot live in a society without police, you know, and if they're not happy and healthy, we're not happy and healthy.
Right,
And
right.
you gotta keep in mind, everybody, we all belong together. We're all part of the same circle of
we
life
are.
here, and it's really a big deal. But you know, I like what I see on your pages and what you're doing in our communication, because it's something that really, if you're not in that circle, you don't know what's going on. And this is the kind of positive stuff going on with police and programs like this of yours, you know, that really, in my opinion, needs to be more out there. People should know about this, you know. So I'm hoping that, you know, if you're in Baltimore County, you're in Anne Arundel County, or Harford County, whatever, your law enforcement, join in and maybe, you know, sure, you can throw in some firefighters at some time.
Absolutely, yeah. Hiking, definitely. If you're a first responder, definitely get in touch
There you
with
go.
me. If you're a first responder, get in touch with me, and you can join us on our hikes, and even various organizations that deal with stress mitigation. If you need some tidbits, and I had a principal from the Baltimore City school system reach out to me to ask me about.
Now that's stress.
Yeah.
With that stress.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, reach out to me, and I'll help you to the best of my ability. But hiking is definitely something that I would love to do with the Guardian Angels. I've hiked over 20 some odd trails in Maryland, so I'm very familiar, and I can make it easy or not.
Well, you know what? I think this is something that it kind of gives me. It's like this is a good team building thing for the Angels here, guys. So this is something we're going to put together. Not to mention my martial art friends. We're going to get you guys involved too. And my instructor, you know, growing up, he was part of the FBI, and he literally would make us go to trails, and we trained on beaches, we hiked, we you name it, we did it. But it was all part of the environment and mind, body, and spirit thing.
It's paramount. And you know, if I can say anything, my success has come from leading with love, compassion, and understanding. And when I say my success, and this is something that I'm proud of, I have never in my 15 years of service ever had a citizen call in a complaint on me. I've never had a citizen launch a complaint against me in 15 years. And sometimes there will be people that will say, no, that's because, you know, you're not doing your job. First and foremost, I'm not a drug cop. So let me just say that. I'm not a drug cop, so that can get a little hairy. I'm more community oriented. But some people will say, well, that's because you're not working. But no, it's because I'm actually a model police officer. I'm the type of police officer that, you know, a consent decree would be written around. But and I say that to say that type of policing exists. But it really boils down to caring for oneself and being able to find that vibration of love that can lead you. And then we can serve the community the way that they deserve to be served. All of the hardworking people in Baltimore City deserve that.
And I think, like I said, we talked about this before. And if you are a commander in the law enforcement agency, any one of them, okay, realistically, if you think about some of the stuff that we talked about right here, one of the things that I talked to you about was, Why don't police officers, and I'm not asking you, I'm just saying, I'm asking you, okay? If you're part of the agency, this is the kind of stuff that should be put in place for law enforcement and promoted and allow the police officer to say, hey, because this is one of those things, this is prevention also. That's a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to have you comment on that. I'm going to bring it out there. This is something that the department should put together to help officers and give them a fix before anything's broken. So this is Strider. This is Beyond the Streets. That's the Yoga Cop. Thank you, TV Free Baltimore, and we will see you next time on Beyond the Streets.
Hi, this is Cindy Williams, and you're watching TV Free Baltimore.
This is Gunhild Carling, and you are watching TV Free Baltimore. You are not watching. You have to watch TV Free Baltimore.